As the Japanese proverb goes, fall down 7, stand up 8. Today, I'm here to share with you my story of standing up to anxiety. But before we go ahead, I have a question for us all. Have you ever been in a state of constant fear, wondering when the next anxiety attack will strike? Have you ever worried, having sleepless nights, wondering when the sleep is going to come? This is my story. I lost my dad when I was pretty very young. If you ask me later in life whether the death of my dad had any detrimental impact on me, I would tell you that no, I was a happy child. But later on, after therapy, we realized that the death of my dad had a tremendous impact on my mental health. I grew up with this intense fear of death. When I was asked to speak on this stage, I asked myself, can I find the words that would actually convey my struggle? As a young child, I suffered. I cannot even begin to tell you the kind of struggles I went through when I was very young. 3 symptoms stood out for me when I was young and on my journey of mental health. I hid behind a mask, pretending everything was all right. But deep inside of me, I was dying. I was gasping for breath. I went to ABU Zaria, and as we all know, as a young pharmacy student in my first and second year, it was a struggle for me. With the coursework, the workload, and everything, it added tremendous impact on my mental health. We would wake up in the morning, 7 a.m., to begin lectures, and we end around 7 p.m. I would go back to the hostel, dreading nights, dreading whether yet again I'm able to go to sleep that night. I would keep on crying and begging God that, please, I should be blessed with sleep. The sleep that you take for granted is a great blessing to us that found it very difficult to sleep. My first symptom that I really battled with was insomnia. It's literally the lack of sleep, or in the night that you're able to sleep, your sleep is disturbed. You never have peaceful sleep. You lack peace in your sleep. I remembered, like I said, in university, at night, we would come back to the hostel and people would go to sleep. We'll go to sleep together with every other person, but I would lay awake, crying, shivering, shaking, dreading the next morning because I knew that I would not be able to give my best. And yet, again, I would wake up in the morning and put this front. People see out there this beautiful, put-together young lady making it, looking happy on the outside. But inside of me, I was falling apart. I had serious issues with sleep. And later on in life, whenever I come across someone that says, like, they fall asleep with the blink of an eye, I turn to them always and I say, thank God that you have this power of being able to sleep. The next thing I battled with was intense palpitation, the beating of your heart. That symptom wreaked havoc in my life. It was detrimental to my mental health, to my well-being. I remember driving on the streets of Abuja, and literally when I come across Jabi Lake Mall, I would ask myself, there is a voice inside of me that asks, should we just crash? Shouldn't we just end it all? Shouldn't we just stop all these things? Shouldn't we just find succor in this? Would this help? But yet again, I keep on. When I see oncoming cars, I ask myself, should I just crash into this car? Should I end it all? Or sometimes when I see a mountain or just anything, I ask myself, should I just end it? That was my battle with palpitation. Palpitation wreaked havoc in my life. Literally imagine yourself living day in, day out. You with your heart beating as if it's going to come out of your chest, as if it's going to jump out of your throat. You live in this constant fear, feeling of doom, as if something is going to go wrong. I kept on thinking, maybe, just maybe, God is going to take my mom at such a young age. And I kept thinking, where would we go? Yes, we have family. We're surrounded by family, but then yet again, my mental health was affected. There was this constant worry, irrational fear. When people ask me, how do people with mental health, like, How does anxiety, describe anxiety to me? And I'm always at a loss for words. I ask myself, what do I say to them? How do I do justice to my struggle? What words do I use to convey the gratitude, the magnitude of the situation? Each and every word I would describe to you today, believe you me, times it by 1,000 of what I went through, the struggle. And like what I realized is that there is lack of awareness over here in this part of the world. I didn't know what I was battling with. All I know was that I couldn't sleep, so there must be something wrong with me. I didn't know that I can literally walk into any hospital or clinic and tell them that I have trouble sleeping and they can help me. But I didn't know. I was very young. I was this young girl, worried, with anxiety, with palpitations, with panic attacks, gasping for air, gasping for breath. Believe you me, I never had the audacity to tell anyone because I thought people would not understand. I have never shared my story until recently on social media because I believe if I am bringing awareness to people out there, then people need to understand that they are not alone. You are not alone, and there is help out there. The next symptom, direct havoc to my mental health, was panic attack. I remember 40 days postpartum after I've given birth to my son. He's now 10 years. I had gone to visit my mom, and one day I was sleeping on my bed, and my son was sleeping beside me to my right. I just jerked awake, and there was this alien feeling, and that was the beginning of my struggle with panic attack. It was something new for me. It was an alien thing for me. I woke up and I was like, what is it? There was this feeling of derealization, depersonalization, like I was looking at the room, looking at my son from someone else's eyes. I stood up and I rushed to the sitting room. My sister came out from her room and she says, what is it? And I told her, I think I'm about to die. I was looking around, looking for the angel of death because I felt I was about to die. There was something lodged in my throat. And then my sister just looked at me, she just smiled. She said, just go back and sleep. I sighed deep inside of me and I said, she wouldn't get it. No one would get it. I began to pace up and down in the sitting area until the morning. I went to my mom and I tried my best to describe my symptoms to her. Like I told you, there were no words. My mom got scared because, of course, jinn possession. She got scared. She did all she could for me. And then I went back to my husband's house. On returning back to Abuja, I realized that the panic attack had found a comfortable place. 12 a.m. every night, every morning, it comes, knocking. I tried my best to be strong, but I couldn't. One night, I woke up my husband, and I said, please, we need to go to the hospital. He said, now? I said, yes, what's wrong with you? I said, I'm sick. I couldn't tell him that I was dying. I couldn't tell him that I'm about to see the angel of death. Of course, he wouldn't take me serious. We went to the hospital, we saw the doctor, and after carrying out tests, they gave me clean bill of health, and he said I should go back home. I said, no, I definitely know that something is wrong with me. Something needs to be done. He said, no, when last did you treat malaria? I told him, and he said, okay, let's just treat malaria. They treated me for malaria, and I went back home. But it continued. What do I say? Who do I tell? How do I even begin to describe what I was going through? My husband was closest to me. He was a kind man, but he wouldn't get it. He sleeps in the blink of an eye. How would he begin to understand the struggles in my head? That I was breaking down. That I was finding it difficult to breathe. When you battle with anxiety, you cannot breathe. You can't sleep. You can't do anything. You cannot function. Putting one foot in front of the other is a struggle each and every day. And then 2 days later, I woke up and I said, no, enough is enough. I'm not going to have this. And then the beginning of my healing journey began. I picked up my phone and I imputed all my mental health issues, my symptoms, and I began seeing mental health, insomnia. It felt like homecoming. I'm like, oh my God. So I was sick all this while. Oh my God. And that was when I started taking classes. I started taking courses. I took courses on RBT, MBCT, neuro-linguistic programming. I came across emotional intelligence. Gradually, with therapy, I learned my triggers, and I developed coping mechanisms for them. Gradually, I began to help myself. I was able to begin to sleep in a row. I can sleep 2 days in a row, and that is really tremendous for me. I began to exercise. I began to exercise yoga, meditation, breathing exercises. I am an avid reader, and of course, I switched to personal development books. I began to read. I was searching and researching. I was like a dog with a bone. I said I needed to get to the bottom of this. I need to get my life back. I know that I am raised to be better than this. I am created to do more. And that was when I realized that my mental health journey, anxiety was really not an enemy. It is a teacher. I learned that there is strength in vulnerability, and I found the beauty in imperfection. So now, my question to you all is, what are your struggles? What is your story? Let's break the silence and begin the conversation. Thank you.